Hey guys, thanks for joining us here today. Well, this is episode number 16 of the Premiere Podcast. I am your host, Chase Peterson, and I'm joined here by my co-host, Unreal. Will, how you doing?
Hello. How are you guys?
Hope you guys are doing well. We're joined here by some very special guests. You may know them. You may love them. You got Kim Meltzer and Chris Peralta. How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing great.
Excellent, excellent. So we're very, very excited to have you on the podcast. And before we get started, just want to say thank you for your time. You did not have to sit down with us for half an hour and tell us your story, but we're glad you're here. So what we like to do is we like to get to know you a little bit better. I know some people in the chat probably want to get to know you better, and anybody listening. So I guess we'll start off with a little bit of introductions here. I'll skip over myself for the last. Chris, do you want to go first?
Man, already with that, huh?
Of course, of course.
I was hoping Kim was gonna get it started, but it's all good.
You're sitting on top of the podcast order, so.
Yeah, gentlemen first.
Jeez, really? All right. Last I heard, it was ladies first. All right.
Oh,
There's always something
Chris
new
is
in the
making me
world.
look
Come on,
bad.
I got you.
Sure.
So, Chris, who are you, and why do you do what you do?
Huh. Who am I? Why do I do what I do? Sometimes I know that answer, and other times it's just like, oh man, it's flow. But long story short, about nine plus years in the video game industry, um, just working with different folks from the production, from from a publication standpoint as well as a development standpoint. I've seen it all. Uh, Work with console, PC, and now mobile. Um, and honestly, I'm just kind of just going with the flow, just to see what our industry is all about, and always learning, right? So every year that passes, there's a lot of things happening in video games, and part of the challenge that we have here, as veterans in the space, is really just exploring, knowing what's out there, and then just learning and understanding, being the best person that we can be. So
Good
yeah,
answer.
I mean, I could keep going for days,
Oh, we'll
but
get into it. Don't worry.
I want to give you guys, as well as the people in chat, an opportunity to share their thoughts.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing. I'm sure we'll dive way more into what you're talking about there, but definitely good stuff. Love to hear it. And Kim,
Yes,
you're
sir.
up.
I'm up.
Tell us, who are
I
you
feel
and
like I should
why do
start
you do
that.
what you
That
do?
I was gonna say we should start that Mother Goose experience. So back in the day, no, I'm just kidding. 2010, I was working on my own after being in the hotel hospitality industry for 25 years, and had the privilege to work with a woman who I met during my hotel career and was just really taken aback by how amazing she was. And turns out that she had an agency in West Hollywood, and asked me if I would help her on a project, which was to source hotels for a program that she was doing. And the next thing I know, I was working on Call of Duty Black Ops press junket for Black Ops 1.
It's crazy.
And right, and as a person who's
Amazing.
right, well, and it truly honestly blew me away because it wasn't something that I'd ever done. To have someone like Donna Graves, who works with Encompass and had the privilege to have the trust of Activision to pull off a very high level press junket that back in the day they had chips in the CDs, because you didn't have downloads back then, and FBI chips that would allow you to figure out if somebody was trying to take advantage of the game before it became the billion-dollar game that it was. And basically created the program with them and had the privilege to work with a team that was phenomenal, and in that worked with the top 50 press for Activision, and I had created the whole entire addition to production. So production and all of that was done by Encompass. They brought me in to do all of the hospitality, travel, and the press experience, and so that became my kind of calling card, especially in an industry that had no idea what that was like. And from there, got the title COD Mom when I was with the press because they asked me to
I was
actually play
afraid to
the
call you
game.
that. I was afraid to
Yeah,
call
no,
intro you
you
as
can
that.
call it. That's all right.
I
You
didn't
can
know if I
call
was
me that.
overstepping there.
No, no,
Yeah,
not at all.
she's
I
not just my COD mom. She's my mom, guys.
Yeah, that's
For
right.
the record.
Well, and not grandmother. Let's put that to the test too. Not that
No,
old joke,
Hundred
just
but
percent,
mom.
100%. No one thought
That's why I
that.
said mom.
that's right. That's right. But it was all fun because the press made me laugh. They're humming and playing multiplayer with the devs, and I'm watching. And one of them sat me down to play the game, and of course I couldn't control my thumb movements to save my life, and I was so embarrassed being with some of these top press. But while they were watching me, they said, "What's your gamer tag?" And I was like, "I don't even know what the hell a gamer tag is." And the next thing they said is, "Well, you know what? We're going to call you the COD Mom," and that's kind of how it stuck. And I had the privilege to start building out Call of Duty as a franchise in the beginning of Black Ops building out to what it is today. And once I was not doing Call of Duty for a period of time, I ended up working with so many other games and titles and pro players and player experience and travel and hospitality that I took on the role as the esports event mom or the esports mom. And so my heart and soul goes back to Call of Duty, although I've worked with so many different cultures, games, players, community, whatever was given to me to take care of. And so now my heart and soul is to really just continue to take that mom passion and interrupt or disrupt the industry in a good way. Support the community, support the players, be an advocate. And here I am. I love this. This has become my DNA. And I didn't ever think that a 50-year-old woman would be in a box like this, but I blow everybody away who knows me in my industry, and they have no idea what the hell esports was. And now they can't believe that I've had the privilege to be in something that's grown so big. So,
Yeah, I'm honestly sitting here with both of you today. Had you have told me last year that we would be hanging out and podcasting right now, I'd have been nope, no way. So I mean, you guys have really laid the way for everybody. So big props to both of you. Um, so that kind of brings us to our next points. You guys have all this background within esports, and you guys have done so many different things. What is something that right now you guys are super passionate about that's just kind of burning inside of you at this minute?
I guess I'll go, and that way poor Chris doesn't get beaten up every time there's a
Yeah, Chris,
question.
you can think about it.
It's only fair.
Only fair, only fair.
Go for it.
I honestly feel like it's come to a time where esports is growing so big and the video gaming industry has never stopped growing, and the understanding of it has been really more in the reality of everybody's minds. I mean, before nobody knew what we were, now we're everywhere. And because of COVID and shutting everything down, we're literally one of the top industries in the entire world. And it's put everybody kind of in a shock factor. And I think with that being the case, advocating right now has been a big play for me because I have a company, Kid Kesty Productions, which is what is my event company and where I started. I'm now building out a second company called Destination Esports. My event company is completely dead. Obviously, live events are gone. I did become a certified virtual event producer. I could do virtual events, and I have, talked to different clients about that. But because COVID is so unique and bizarre, and 2020 is the twilight zone at this point, I feel like we need to keep reaching out to the community, and we need to keep reaching out to the publishers and the producers and everybody who's trying to keep everybody alive and well and safe and sound, to know that there's at least a few of us who have been through many disasters and issues that as vets in this industry, and I'm sure Chris will add to this, that we're just doing everything we can to be stable, solid support and advocacy to anyone and everyone who needs it, because it's a time right now where most kids who are in this place have always been digital. I mean, that's what video gaming was. It's always been digital, but esports really brought out a whole new concept to bring it live and functional and people were really interactive where they weren't before. And so it's just really imperative that we don't lose communication and messaging and staying together as a community, and supporting the pro players and the publishers and everybody that's going through these changes, so we can be one mind, one team, even though it's very difficult because we're very fragmented.
Right. Well, that's definitely great to hear. I know, just I don't know, Will, how you feel, but hearing that she still got that passion for
Yeah.
creating these events. I mean, that's
Yeah.
you
For
love to
what,
hear it,
what,
really.
for what I take from Kim's, you just hear the knowledge,
Right.
just pouring through
Right.
her. I'm still not. Every time I talk to her, she's been my mentor for many years. And I keep telling her that we need to hear more of that, and that's one of the main reasons why I invited her to the podcast. And I'm really glad that I did. Plus, Chase is a big fan of you.
Yeah.
On the down low, he's a
Uh,
big fanboy.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but
I'll tell you
and
the
Chris
story after.
also, because I know Chris is he's worked hard, he's worked his way up. I met Chris GameStop. Remember, I was a pro player coming
Wow.
into the store,
You
and
met him at
even
GameStop?
yeah.
What?
I used to talk to him about games, and
That's
then
crazy.
there are a few. He started like realizing that a few guys were like, "Hey, I know you from somewhere," And even my ex girlfriend used to tease me a lot. They're like, "You're like a little nerd." Movie star, but she didn't realize it was the whole thing about tournaments and the MLGs and all that stuff. So it's fun to have you guys here now. Becoming part of the family, especially to a podcast. So that's how I feel about it. But it's about you today. So, anyways.
Definitely. So, so I'll say this and then I'll let Chris go. So Will and I, when we first met, he was like, "Hey, I like what you're doing with Premiere," and he was telling me a little bit about himself. And Kim, your name actually came up, and he was like, I've had this mentor for a long time. She's really helped me through a lot of really dark times in my past, and I said, Kim, why does that name sound so? And I was like, oh my God, he's talking about Esports mom Kim. And Will didn't know this, but I had been, before I started Premiere, which is still relatively new, I had been looking at what on your website at what Esports University was doing, and was like, I was blown away because I love what that's all about, and just you providing that whole scope of resources for esports teams. And to be honest, I built a lot of what we want to do at our fundamental level at the bottom within Premiere based off of some of the things that I saw you do. So thank you for that.
Thank you. No, I'm honored. I'm honored. But I have to say too, in defense, that like it's funny because being in a position to be in this 10 years, and again, no one in their right mind, if they had told me I was going into video gaming, I would have laughed at them, because that wasn't something I had ever understood. And I played Atari
Right.
when I was young. I'll admit it. I'm old. I'll admit it. I remember Pac-Man. When we'd go to the arcade games, and hang out at the arcades. But I have to say that, like, even with Chris being here, and you realize the diversity, and you realize the excitement of where we've all been, and we're all in this community together, whether we've met each other or not. Like, I'm excited, Chris, because I'm not even hosting this, but I can't wait to hear kind of your background and your thoughts, because it's we've all been in this together, and our stories are probably hilarious. And if we ever write books, it's going to be the funnest thing and probably the most embarrassing piece to our lives. But I mean, there's so much to be excited about and to talk about, truly.
Oh man, I'm excited about that. The idea of writing that book. We should do it.
Absolutely. Let's go.
Let's make it happen, right?
Yeah, I'll be your first buyer.
Okay,
Of
deal.
course. Chris, people talk about grinding in the industry. Chris is a grinder, man. You are a grinder, my friend. All right, so tell us about your story.
Oh man, it goes way
Start at
back.
GameStop.
I mean, do call stop.
Great stuff. You got to.
The
I
chat was
now
loving
that
that. They said great
yeah,
story.
now that Unreal has mentioned it, sure, why not? Yeah, so it started in retail. Obviously, like many of you guys, we all have a passion for video games in some capacity, and in this case, not only playing and learning about the games, but also selling them for the most part. And that's where me and Unreal, that's where we met. He mentioned that he was into the competitive scene, doing all the MLGs. You were a coach at one time too, right, Unreal?
Yeah, yeah. I was
Yeah, yeah,
coaching
right.
after, but that was
Yeah,
a couple of years after that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And I think at one point you did Logitech as well.
Yeah, I did
Uh,
Logitech. Yeah.
and we talk about games all the time, and we would talk about like, oh, okay, what's hot, what's new, what's good, what's bad, what's all this, and then eventually it came to a point where I actually got curious. I wanted to see what it was like being on the other side of it, not only on the retail side, but also learning how games are made, perhaps. And in this case, I took a chance at a random, Belarusian company, WarGaming, who sold millions already. For those of you who may or may not know, World of Tanks is a AAA game that happened years ago. Started overseas in Russia and blew up here in the U.S. eventually. They then also had their own form of esports as well. So being able to be a part of that community, learning and understanding the history of how those tanks, those ships, those planes, you name it, were made. That was part of the gig. I did that for over 3.5 years, learning and understanding what each and every unit did, and really immersing myself as part of that community was huge. Um,
Nice. That's crazy.
And
yeah,
they had
That's
like
such an
legit
early stage
world
too.
tournaments. Yeah.
yeah, we did a lot of tournaments too. We supported content creators. We made our own content creator program. There was so many things that I did with that company, and really blessed and excited to have started with those guys when, man, we were a small team of, like, I don't know, like 30, 40 people at one point in a really small studio. And it's when you experience that, and when you see something like that being made right before your eyes, it's special. It's something different.
I
Right.
can attest to that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you that ex,
And
that
What's
yeah.
experience is genuine.
And I think we touched base again because you were running that, and I saw you on Twitch in one of those casting booth, and I was running at that point. I was running with Mike and Noble, and we had a pro team there at that point. We were really embedded in different games at that point, and I saw you. I was like, "What? That's you, Chris, again." So you kind of popped in my TL timeline. Sorry for those that are not millennials. And then we touch base again, and then we NorCal Bay Area represent. So we touched base, and we kept we became friends. I guess for
so?
Yeah,
lack of
yeah.
words, we became like actually in real life friends.
So
Yeah,
I
for
feel like
sure.
I'm the fourth wheel here.
Now you're the host, my friend. All right,
Yeah.
So Chris, what's
You make
got
it.
you?
I'll be quiet now.
No. I need. We need your help. Um, Chris, what's got you real passionate these days?
Oh, many things. Mostly different IPs. For those of you guys who may or may not know, I just started a new gig with Bandai Namco, and learning and understanding different IPs, especially in the anime space, is different. It's working with Japan teams, oftentimes. Granted, I've had my fair share of, working with a lot of people overseas, folks from, Australia, New Zealand, South America, the UK, you name it. Adjusting to those different time zones is huge when you're working with international teams. and then just beyond that, just learning and understanding what the culture is like, right? Because when you're working with these people, you, you work goes hand in hand. You need to know what they're capable of, what the challenges are, and vice versa, right? So those are the things that I'm interested in now, and then beyond that, obviously, while we're in this COVID situation, is kind of like what Kim just mentioned earlier. It's still the same space. We've been doing the same thing. The only difference is that everything's happening virtually. The challenge that we have here with esports in particular is, the live events. It's being able to really like chill with your friends and your colleagues and meet up at a particular venue and making it happen, where all the magic happens. It's That's something that you can't take away. That's different. That's a different experience right there, right? um,
Yeah, for sure. That big bonding moment when you, for the first time, meet your, your team, or you go and you actually compete for the first time. For a lot of people, they're not going to get to experience that this year. So I know
right,
that's
right,
tough for a
right.
lot of people.
And the huge challenge that we're facing right now is that while we are doing everything virtually, it's like, oh man, so how's that going to feel like in the competitive scene, right? You have to test internet connection. You have to make sure that, competitively everything makes sense. uh, there's just so many things that you really have to take into account, especially during this time. But hopefully, fingers crossed, sooner or later, things will get back to normal.
That I would hope, my friend. That I would hope. Um, I think really since all this kind of kicked off, it's changed a lot of people's business plans, a lot of people's business structures. I know um, we've been impacted a lot from what's going on, and not being able to participate at events that we were planning on. Um, I'd be interested, I guess, and maybe you guys would be interested too, to hear about, if this isn't going away and this is like the new normal, like what would be an ideal situation for esports to either maybe cope with that, or I don't know the right word here, but there is a plan, and what would that look like, I guess.
Yeah, I would like to hear from Kim since
Yeah.
she's been in this business
No
for a
pressure.
lot
No
longer
pressure.
Yeah,
than we all
everyone.
have, and she's basically an insider. Every time that I go to LA, I'd be like, Kim, what's the cheapest hotel I can stay at?
Right, right.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
I'll tell you from a very, it's my opinion. This is not, this is not breaking news. This is not something that, somebody hears this and they think that I'm like the messiah of, esports. But the thing that's most imperative right now is that someone taught me a long time ago, you need to know the box before you can think outside of it. So in that concept, in the way that we've done events, we're
Genius.
very, yeah, right. We're very black and white. I mean, we really, we wake up in the morning, we have a coffee, we start our day, we get on our Zoom call, and the minute that it's a weekend or a day that something isn't the same, we don't know what to do. We're so robotic that we've lost our sense of identity. And this is one of the things that, on a psychological level, a relationship level, we can play games till we're blue. You can play 8 hours a day. You can stream out 8 hours a day, but your identity is hooked to a digital piece, and that's where the problems lie, in not being able to go anywhere because we don't think beyond the screen. And so for somebody who's lived in a world where there was no such thing as a screen, I didn't have a cell phone. I had to grow up as a kid who had resources that were, you knew where I was because my bike was at my friend's house, and whoever that friend's house was, there was only four or five I could go to. I mean, we
Right.
were pretty set in the way that we grew up. So we didn't have GPS or all these things. So now we are so lucky to have so much technology, and we're so used to doing things at a like a snap. And what this has done is it shut it down and it brought us back to basics. And I think that a lot of people didn't have their basics in order. And so having to get people to just simple basics of who am I? What am I doing? What are my goals? What if I could never step out of this house? Am I going to be able to handle that? Am I not? I'm an extrovert, I'm an introvert. Like there's so many pieces of this, but from a business standpoint and why it's taking me so long to get back on my feet is because my business model's changed 4 times. And I've realized that the community speaks all the time, but nobody's listening. There's a lot of people saying a lot of things. And I think I'm grasping a lot of it now and kind of listening to hear what they're saying. And I think from a business standpoint, from a hotel standpoint, from a venue standpoint, within the next 12 months, we're going to find a way to deal with COVID without a vaccine, with a vaccine, however it happens. But there are ways to find the key to social distancing. There's a key to dealing with venues. There's a lot of startup companies, I'm telling you right now, that are coming at me every day that if even one of them has the ability to put their feet down with some accountability, I believe that we'll be able to get live events back sooner than we think. But with
That's
safety and
good news.
security, yeah, no, absolutely. But it's going to take accountability and people are going to have to be accountable and they're not going to like that. But if they get out of their egos and realize that it's about all of us and not just one of us, I think that each publisher, each developer, each community organizer, each tournament organizer, as long as we can come up with a simple structure that allows us to keep the safety, check first, we can create ways to get back to some interaction on a physical level. But it's going to take some time. So for now, it's let's get down to basics, get everybody healthy. Let's make sure everybody's going the right direction. Let's get into a hybrid mode where we can go part virtual and then ultimately getting back together on a small scale and keeping the communities alive as best as we can. So it might be more local rather than national or regional or international, but we've just got to keep building it out from a small to a bigger perspective. And so I hope to be on that plane to be able to help make sure that we can structure that a little bit. I call it creative structure. And what we're trying to do is find just how to make everybody win in this without putting risk at play, but also challenging what we're hearing from the media and from the news junkets and from the actual CDC. So I'm not against any of it. I don't want anybody to ever think that. I'm just asking questions so that I can get the right information to be able to make the right choices so that we have something that can go to everyone here in the video game industry and say, look, let's be the leaders in this. Not like let's not wait for somebody else to figure it out. We're way too awesome as a group, regardless of who we are and what we're doing and what game we play. We're all one, but nobody seems to
Mm,
know how to get that together. So that's going to be the next steps. And I think in the next 12 months, you'll see at least me being the crazy one that's going to try to step out and disrupt a little bit, but also without ever compromising the safety or security of what we stand for within our communities. So we'll see. It's going to be a long road, but I don't believe that it's going to be forever. It's just, I think people's fear will always be first and foremost, and we have to educate properly and get
mm.
people to all work together for sure.
Kind of just got like chill bumps a little bit.
Yeah, thank you for that insider view. It's really good. It's solid. Has the same question for Chris as well, because he is in the industry. What are you guys doing to? Because I know sometimes you require meetings after meeting, right? I've been in the industry before, especially in mobile technology. You require all of that from the devs. You gotta be in the room sometimes to be able to discuss things quickly and move on to the next, task. So if you could tell us a little bit how you feel, or what's your company doing, if you're allowed, obviously, to avoid those issues.
Right, right. No, that's a great question, Unreal. And I think it goes back to kind of like what Kim mentioned here. You got to find ways to adapt. And some of the things that we're doing, at least from the industry level here, is to, obviously we're hosting a lot of Zoom calls day in and day out. When it comes to activations nowadays, it's all, virtual conventions. And then in terms of tournaments, TOs are, you know, mostly challenged with putting together tournaments that are all just in the digital space. All you're doing is just you're literally just posting what it's all about. You're inviting your existing audience and community to take part, but everything is just now virtually. Where we come to play as a company is we're here, at least in Bandai, we're trying to support those different types of initiatives, right? Everyone from the grassroots to even the official tournaments. Um, you know, we're all in this together, and everyone is pretty much doing the same thing. It's just a matter of just being able to manage it accordingly. And in this case, and like we said before, since we can't all meet together anymore, we're just all doing it virtually. The hardest part is, where do you draw the gray line in between, what's fair and what's not. People will continue, especially on a competitive level, to really just like they're just going to complain. They're going to be like, hey, we're experiencing lag. I lost because of this, I won because of that. It's different, and this is definitely something that we're all facing right now, at least from the esports level. But these are some of the things that we talk about here, and you can only do so much, on the net code and everything. And
Mm,
for people that play competitively, they'll know what I'm talking about, and they know that you have to take into account all these different factors.
right. I think really just being fully, in the situation and with it, speaking with content creators and players day in and day out. I think obviously this year has been, you know, I don't know what to call it, a tragedy, I guess. There's been a lot of bad news and a lot of bad things happening, and I think now more than ever is more important for the people who have a position similar to you guys, and to just be that like hope, and be the be the change really, and whatever that looks like. I mean, who knows? Everybody's gonna have a different take on what they think, I guess, is gonna be the right decision for their company. But at the end of the day, if it's about helping our small community, you know just get through, really, in my opinion. And if we can do that at any level, even with this podcast, if somebody's listening and you're going through something, reach out. There's people that are here to help you. So we just want to make sure we advocate that to anybody. Um, so I guess that kind of brings me to my next point. One of the main reasons that I really got into, I guess, this industry was uh, kind of revolving around the hope and the dream and the opportunity that a lot of younger people, and the next generation, I guess, if you will, um, have this dream of being in the industry. And there's a lot of businesses popping up left and right with, I have the path, I have the way to become a pro, I have a program that you can do and you'll get there. They're all over the place. I am very interested to hear a veteran, well, I guess, insider opinion on if you had any advice to give this next generation of gamers and players and content creators. What's something that you guys would tell them?
I'm gonna let Chris start that one.
I know it's a little bit of a complex question.
Sure, sure. For me, I mean, I've been dealing with creators for the last 8 years and such. And I think if there is one piece of advice that I would give to them today, it's just keep doing what you're doing. It's building your brand. It's listening to those people that have already done so already before you. And then for more so, I think the biggest thing is finding ways to be unique. Do different things that are outside of the box, things that you're not accustomed to, and that you're pretty much not comfortable with. Be uncomfortable. you know this is the time in which you have this opportunity. We have this platform, this great platform called Twitch, you know where you could do all sorts of things, from
We're not
from
endorsed by Twitch, but we would like to have a partnership. Thank you.
Yeah, you hear that, Twitch? Calling you out.
But yeah, I mean it is what it is, and you know, while it is unfortunate of what we're dealing with right now, I think we could take this as all, you know, of a learning lesson, and really just continue to do what we're doing, and I would say just leverage the opportunity while everybody's at home, just chilling there. There's this really big opportunity for you as a content creator to show everybody what you're made of. You know, everyone has all the time in the world now to tune in, check out what your content is like, and prove to them that hey, I'm worth that follow, I'm worth that sub. So do it.
Yeah, what are you waiting for?
Wow.
That was a
Yeah,
great
yeah. What
answer.
are you waiting for? That's a great answer. Thanks a lot, Chris. We really appreciate it. Kim, how do you feel as far as I don't know if you in your current projects you're working directly with content creators, but I know you're in the space as well, right? And eventually you guys will, as
Yeah.
some form. So if you could tell us a little insider view on that.
Well, I mean, just go back to when we started the first COD Esports, when there really wasn't anything out there, and had, the first experience where we had Call of Duty championships, of which I'm wearing here. But the first one was really an interesting experience because you were there, you know what it was like. You had to
Was
qualify,
I
you had to
there?
take a chance. Huh? Yeah,
Yes, I
you
was.
were, you old man. You were old. Um, but you know what I mean? Like, you think about what it is back then. You just had to try to take the moment to build the team and try to qualify and get to that opportunity to be the top 10, and then had the chance to get flown out to wherever it was, whether it was LA or whatever, wherever it was, and you fought for your experience to be known as a Call of Duty pro player, right? Now move into 2020, and there are tournaments everywhere. There is opportunity for amateurs and for college kids. It's a little bit more open than it used to be. It was very kind of niche for a while, but now it seems that with COVID, it's opened up even more so. And it's the same with content creation. I think the problem with most people is that, again, and they don't have the basics. They don't know the simple things, right? You either have people who have just a tad more ability to know what they're doing to jump in and try it, or you've got the amateurs who are just completely at a loss, and they're like, oh well, if I watch my favorite streamer, I can do this, but they don't have the structure to know what that means. And it's going to take a little bit more opportunity to get that out there. But I think becoming the next pro, becoming the next content, the content provider, or content creator, being able to be the next streamer, like, there's a point where you just have, like Chris said, you just have to try it and see if you like it. You have to figure out who your personality is. A lot of people don't even know what branding is. They don't even know what it means to create their own individual um, personality. They know they have it, and those that are very well the extroverts in an introvert world will easily get out there and try it. But it's a different approach now than it used to be. But there's definitely much more opportunity, and I think the thing is not be afraid to reach out and ask questions. And there's enough people on, whether it's Twitter or LinkedIn or any of these Discord, especially Discord, where you can reach out to people and ask questions and see if they can help you. So many people are great in our community. They're not afraid to answer a question or reach out to somebody they might know. I do it all the time. I may not know the answer, but I'll certainly try to move them to somebody that certainly knows better than I do, of what, to do next. So it's interesting, but I think the other aspect of it is you can't become Ninja or Dr. Disrespect just like that. Sometimes you get lucky and you happen to have the right personality and you start the right way, and your odds are really great, but not everybody gets to do that. So you got to have the right expectations, and I think that again is a lot of education to be able to give them an understanding of what is exceptional and what is awesome. You might have 10 subs, and that's not a failure, but to some people that's not enough. They just feel like they're never good enough, and I think we need to kill that
Yeah, that's
expectation,
huge. The
That's your point.
the
That's a
the death
I got
of creativity is comparison, right?
Yep,
That's
100%.
something that I try to not do, and look at other people's success and be like, oh man, I really want that. And instead, you just put your head down and just keep doing what you're doing.
that's
Right.
facts.
Huge
Just to add
facts.
to that comment, that's facts, guys. Chat is true. And it's tough to deal with some content creators that will get in touch with you, and they got great content going, but they just don't have the viewership or the subs. And I will say to them, it's like, don't measure yourself, with all the 0.2%
Mm.
of Twitch or YouTube content creators that that are highly successful for X reasons, as you posted it, Kim.
Yeah.
That's just a legit comment coming from somebody that's been around the business for a while. Um,
And you have to, and honestly, you have to look at who you look up to and see what they're doing and what kind of things you see that are really cool.
right,
I mean, what's interesting is you can say Ninja, you can say Dr. Disrespect, you can say Shroud, right? They're the biggest influencers, but what makes them unique and different? Why did they do so well? Because
right.
they have an identity that nobody else can have. So it takes a little bit of understanding of you're young, you don't know who you are anyway. So it's going to take time to just keep keep grinding, because in that one day that you least expect to do something well, maybe the one day that you took the chance, and it's going to be something cool. But don't measure that by today I'm good and tomorrow I'm bad. It's a journey, it's a marathon. It's not a one time chance, or I've done this for 2 years and I suck at it, now I'm going to quit. You need to just get some support and figure out what am I doing right and what am I doing wrong, and you have to take constructive criticism. That isn't a I'm a failure. It's in
Yeah,
your failure you find your success. So again, it's all perspective. We just don't teach that. I had to learn it. I was one of those kids that was a Rhodes Scholar, man. You fell on your face, you had to get back up and you had to start all over again, and you were scared to death to do it. But the minute you did it and realized it wasn't that big of a deal, and then fell again, and you're like, okay, crap, I got to get back up and start again. But here I am, what, 10 years later? Who would have thought 10 years later that I'd be still sitting here talking? I had to take risks every day. I did things that most people thought I was nuts. And, even to this day, I think I'm nuts for a lot of things that I did in the industry. But if you and your heart and your soul and you know what you're passionate about, you just keep going, and you have to listen, and you have to take constructive criticism as much as you have to be grateful for the small win. And then one day when you do make it, you have to be thankful for all the people who helped you get there, and never be egotistical to not remember where you came from. That's the
yeah,
big deal.
absolutely. I agree 100%. Also, listen to the people that have done it, that have been there before you. It's hard for a lot of the young content creators to come in and listen to people. Sometimes that the hard truth, the criticism. But sometimes they gotta understand that a lot of the people that are surrounding them, telling them the facts and the reality of it, of the business, not just the business end, but the entertainment business end as well, and the unique niche, right, that all these top content producers have. I mean, sorry, content creators have, is that, like you said, they have a unique personality. They know who they are, and they maximize that. You know.
Absolutely. And I can say this, and Chris, jump in too, because I know that you understand this.
Hmm.
Being authentic is priority one. Not cutting somebody's throat to get where you need to go, and always knowing that your reputation is all you have. And so when you're in the position to go from zero to wherever that goal is, just, I mean, it's a day-to-day thing, and you can't always rely on yourself to be the only one that knows how to get there. I mean, again, you just have to always remember where you came from, and you have to always remember that every day, today I could be a champion and tomorrow I could have a depressing day. But that doesn't define who I am. It makes my journey, it makes my story, but it certainly doesn't make me who I am. And I think being authentic and having some integrity and not being toxic, and we can talk about that on a whole nother level, is really imperative, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm sure we
toxic.
all could.
Very common word. How you feel about those things, Chris? You working with actually within the industry itself as a developer, and then going out there and obviously working with content creators and live streamers and YouTubers and all that stuff. So we would like to hear your opinion.
Yeah, yeah. To a lot of great points, by the way, too. And then to Kim's points as well. You mentioned authenticity. I can't help but stress how important that is. Never forget who you are, where you started, and what the overall goal is that you're trying to achieve. I think the biggest thing here, and you can apply this to everything in life, is just take what everyone's done and do it better. Make it your own, and see how that works out for you. And I think honestly, from my experience, I take a lot of the best practices that I've learned I see from different mentors, and just really apply them in life, apply them in everything that I do, um, because that's what makes you unique. And really, I think that's what's also going to help you define the type of brand that you're trying to promote, especially if you're a content creator, right? There's so many things that you could do. There's only so few games out there that people will play and that trends on Twitch and say, oh, maybe I'll play this game because this is the game that's hot. But it doesn't necessarily mean that people are gonna tune into your channel just for the sole fact. They'll tune into your channel because of you. It's
Hmm.
you who makes yourself unique. It's you who brings that channel to life. So, you know, really take that into consideration and think about the things that you do, especially if you're starting a new channel. So, can't help but stress, how important that is. So, going back to mentors, going back to other people that's done it before, and going back to things that you want to do for yourself. If you combine all that, I mean, I think it only takes a matter. It's just a matter of time in which you'll be able to actually brand yourself, and you'll be surprised. With a little bit of luck and some promotion, some branding on top of that, some really awesome connections, you can really put yourself out there.
100%.
Wow. I feel like I should be taking notes. I'm like so enthralled with every word that comes out of both of your mouths.
That's because we're trying not to be controversial but funny at the same time. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
No,
that was
this is
that,
great.
that was right on point.
Oh, okay, good. The chat's taking notes for me. Thanks.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, guys,
One
we're
of our content creators, Jake, is very involved with the community. He's a COD player, very good COD player. I appreciate your support, Jake. So yeah, indeed, thanks for taking note for us.
yeah, absolutely. And we're coming up here on our time, so we'll wrap up with a little social plug here. So tell us where we can find you on social media, and we'll wrap it up. Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go because then Chris can close it smart. Um, I'm at Kim A. Meltzer, or Esports Event Mom, which is just a smaller Twitter. My main one is Kim A. Meltzer. Um, I'm on LinkedIn for the business part of it, and really enjoy interacting with everybody on LinkedIn just because it's more of a business side. But Twitter's more of my fun. I'm more the observer than I am the content creator. I'm so learning how to do a lot of this myself. So I have to say that as the finger is pointing out to everybody else, there's three pointing back at me because I'm getting beaten up by a lot of my friends and my teams to get out there and start doing more content. And I hate doing content. So be kind, although I'll take the constructive criticism as one who just shared that. But mainly, I'm open, just to kind of, I've got an email, kim@destinationesports.com. I'm always open to conversation, and just always around. If there's people that have questions or need resources or reference or whatever, happy to take those as well. There's never a no, even though I may not have the answer, I'll certainly try to find it.
That's awesome of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. All right, Chris. Where can we find you?
Yeah. Well, most of the conversations happen through Twitter anyway, so I want to keep it in that space. So at Alo8, so that's ALO, the number 8, IGHT. This is the gamer tag that I've used for many years, especially in the competitive space, and it continues to be my alias. So for those of you guys just wants a conversation, is curious about the content creator space, and in general, I think with esports, especially with the fighting game community, um, I have a special place in my heart for those guys. So yeah, feel free to reach out. Happy to talk with you guys.
Thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast, and this will go live everywhere sometime in the next couple days. I'll make sure you guys get all your links. But thank you guys for tuning in. For those of you listening, this is episode 16 of the Premiere Podcast with Kim Meltzer and Chris Peralta. If you want to drop them a follow, ask them some questions, make sure you guys get connected with them. They've shared with you all of their contact information. And if you like the content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Follow us on all of our social media at _Premier Esports. And thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you next time.
Right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate the
Thanks,
support.
guys.
Honored.
Appreciate you guys.
And
Thank
thanks, chat. We appreciate you guys. Love you guys. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Chris, it's been an honor, sir. Hope to catch with you sometime in the near future. It'll be fun.
you. Likewise, Kim.